Hello and welcome to Play Talk Repeat for this, our review of Bucket Simulator 2022, otherwise known as the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Me, Niall, and Alex have all played the game. Lewis hasn't, but he's here for the good times, aren't you, Lewis?
Here for the bants and here for the spicy review.
Yeah.
Do you want to know
The
what
buckets.
happened? Do you know what happened the other day at uni?
Go on.
Someone was came over. It was came over and talked to me, and like we talked for like 30 seconds, and then they went, "Oh, clearly there's no bants here," and then walked away, and then that was it.
That's really mean.
Yeah. Apparently the situation was just low on bants, so
Maybe you should provide the bants, Niall. Obviously,
Yeah, I
wasn't providing them.
Yeah, Niall.
apparently not.
What were they providing the bants though?
No, it was just a bantsless time, which I think is one of the reasons why they left.
Most likely. Anyway, so this review will be filled with spoilers for all of the Stanley endings, absolutely everything. Because I don't think you could do a review of this without talking about the vast majority of them anyway.
Yeah, speaking of, I watched the IGN review, and literally like 15 seconds in, they were like, "Oh, by the way, we're not no spoilers," and then they instantly cut to the mind control facility. And I was like, "That's a bit of a
And
spoiler."
they also talked about the fact that they called it, like, they changed it to the Stanley Parable 2, like,
Yeah.
in the new content, like spoiling the actual new content anyway. So can we get an opening statement from you, please, Niall?
I played the first, well, not the first Stanley Parable. I played the Stanley Parable, which was first on Steam. That wasn't a Gmod thing, and I really liked it then. Thought it was kind of groundbreaking in terms of the design, because it stripped everything away, and it was just one question, and then that was it, and then it spiraled outwards. One question of whether or not you like make your own decisions.
Are you
pretty
going
much.
to obey or not?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's just incredible, and that stands. It's still true today. I do have some slight issues with sort of the vision of the what they added, but that's also because they did such a good job at adding stuff that it felt like it was a sequel. But then you got to realize that it's not actually a sequel; it's just some extra content. So it's not quite that standard. But yeah, that's me anyway.
I'm looking forward to hearing those issues.
Yeah.
What was your rating, Niall?
What was your
Oh,
rating?
I gave it a 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10 out of 10, but it wasn't quite perfect.
Okay.
So yeah.
So moving on to Alex, who had not played the Stanley Parable at all before this.
Yes, I hadn't played. Excuse me. I hadn't played the Gmod one or the 2013 one. Right, 2013 it came out, the original version. I heard things about it. I think I watched like Game Grumps play like a demo or something. I was like, oh, this looks cool. But I had a laptop at the time that could not run the game probably. And I was just like, oh, I'll get around to it eventually. And then I never did. And then all of a sudden, Niall goes, yeah, the Stanley Parable's out. I was like, oh, okay. And I was interested in it. So I started playing it. Really enjoyed it. I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. There was a couple things where I could have been like, oh, come on. Just thinking, like, I know that the clicker ending is one of them. Like, why would anyone even want to do that?
Yes.
Spend 4 hours each time just for that kind of trash ending, when there's so many other better endings which take like 5 minutes. But yeah, for a walking sim, pretty much, it's spectacular. It's groundbreaking. It's amazing. Those are 3 amazing words.
They really are.
Yeah.
What is your score?
Yeah,
9 out of 10.
I said 9.
9
Oh,
out
you
of
said
10.
9. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I did.
Listen.
Yeah, Oliver. God.
So I played the 2013 release. This is news to me that it was a Gmod thing before it was the 2013 release.
Yeah, I didn't know
Well,
that.
do you remember in the indie games ending where you
Yes.
fall into a weird map with like nothing going on? Looks really old.
Yes.
That's from the Gmod.
Oh, with like the orange no texture thing.
No. When you drop like into the silent building.
Oh, right. When it's all
Yeah.
dark and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll notice that like a lot of the assets are like source.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That does make sense. Okay, so I really enjoyed this. So when I first saw the trailer for this, like way back when, I didn't think they'd actually add that much to it, and I thought it was just a basic re-release kind of thing with little bits. but Niall said his magic words and ended up getting it. And I've just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed going back through it, playing all the old endings, which I did first, and then you go through a door that labeled new content, and everything from that point is just fantastic. There's a couple of duds in there, a couple of dud endings, but nothing to take away from the absolute like brilliant stuff that they did do. I also gave it a 9 out of 10, which it brings us to an average of 9.
That's pretty good.
That's crazy.
That's
That's
probably the
probably the
highest
best score we've
rating.
ever
Highest
had.
rated
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
on,
So so for those who haven't played it, I'm just going to go through like the basic walkthrough of the Stanley Parable. So Stanley is a worker at a company. Basically, all he does is sits in front of a computer all day and mindlessly puts in commands that appear on his screen. One day, Stanley stands up. He goes through his door and realizes all of his co-workers are missing. So in the main branch of the Stanley Parable, you walk through the office and you reach 2 doors, and the narrator, who's talking over everything that you're doing, says Stanley walks through the door on his left. So you follow the instructions, you go through the left, and you end up walking through the boss's office, things like that, going through a secret doorway, and you walk into a mind control facility. You turn off the mind control and you exit through a large door, and that's the end of the game. But so from that first choice, even before that, there are so many different ways you can go. So if you, like, for example, you go through the right door. There's a few branching paths through there. There's how many endings is there? Let's say, like, with the new content, there must be well over 30, right?
Yeah, I would say between 30 and 40.
Oh, yeah. So let's start out with then. So first of all, which ending did you get first?
Go on,
Do you want me
Alex.
to go first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go first.
I got the confusion ending first because I disobeyed his orders and I went through the right door, and then I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'll go through the left door. I'll give him a chance." And then I saw a big red button, and I was like, "I'm gonna go down this lift." And I started following the adventure line, and that was fun. And then, what happens after the adventure line? I've seen so many endings now.
So the adventure. So. Wow! I can't exactly remember.
I can't remember what happens after the adventure line.
So the adventure line eventually. So you follow a yellow line because you keep getting lost essentially. He keeps trying to
I remember now, yeah.
you keep trying to get you back on track and you keep getting lost, and it's the adventure line that's taking you off course. So eventually, he just tells you to ignore the adventure line completely. I can't remember what happens exactly at the end. Can you remember now?
Yeah, and then and then at the end, you end up at a whiteboard pretty much, and it just says this is the confusion ending, and then it has like numbers of like, yeah, this is gonna happen next. The narrator's gonna stop talking, then Stanley dies, and then and then you end up in like some weird, like you like in the roof basically, just looking down at Stanley, and then the credits start rolling.
Yeah, because he breaks it. Because he's saying exactly what the narrator's going to do. The narrator looks at that and says, "I'm not going to do that. No, I'm just going to stop."
Yeah.
And then he breaks the game by doing that. No, that's a great ending.
I loved it.
What was your first ending?
Oh, well, I mean, my first ending, I can't remember what my first ending was in 2013. I remembered all the endings so well because I played it so many times. But when Meg, my partner, first played it, she also got the confusion ending straight away. And I think it was through the exact same mindset of Alex, like, oh, I want to do this wrong. But then like, oh, I want to correct it. And then, like, halfway through making that choice is another choice. And she just pressed the big red button.
Yeah.
And that was that, which I thought was a mental ending to start with.
It's-
When it was my turn, one of my favorite ones is going through the blue door 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just because I remember coming across that by accident because I had already gone through the red door on the final time, assuming there was just one door. And this was in the 2013 version. And then I went back and did it again. And I accidentally just spammed my mouse around, and there was another door. And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But is that the indie game ending, that one?
That's the indie game ending.
That's the indie game.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about the indie game ending shortly. So I'll take the same approach as now because I can't remember the first one back in 2013, but the first ending that Lauren came across, my partner, when I put her in front of it because I wanted to just see what she'd do. She first of all she struggled with the controls, but she got to the 2 doors and the narrator says Stanley walked through the door on his left, and then she looks over at me and says, "What do I do?" It's up to you, isn't it? She followed it all the way to the true ending. She followed it all the way. She did not disobey one order at any point.
That's crazy.
Bit of a coward
That's
like that,
mad.
is Lauren. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't even stop in the broom closet.
She did not stop in the broom closet at all.
Ah,
No, she
damn.
just went
That's one
straight.
of my favorites.
Went straight to the ending.
Can I ask something?
Go
Hit
on.
me with it.
So I've actually seen a lot of people talk about this because I was reading it online when it came out. There was a ton of discourse, obviously, because it's called the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, right? So it's not
Mhm.
advertised necessarily as a sequel. It's just like a game with more content. A lot of people were debating and arguing on whether or not it had enough content to warrant buying it again if you already own the game. For example, if they already own the game but they haven't played it yet, or if they just don't own the game at all, is it logical to buy the new game? Does it offer that much more content? And do you think the experience is worth buying the new game over the original? Or do you think someone could just play the original and not have to worry about this new one?
So
Or do you think they'd be missing out?
From my perspective, it depends entirely on how much you enjoyed the original.
Okay.
So if you enjoyed it a lot, like me and Niall did, yes, it's definitely worth it because it takes it in new directions and things like that. If you enjoyed the original, you enjoyed the amount of endings, you enjoyed all the different ways that it kind of like fucks with your head, kind of thing. So yes, but if you wasn't that keen on the original, then no, definitely not. It's not worth rebuying because there's a lot of content. I'd say, would you say it's about is it twice as much or is it less than that?
I would say it is slightly more than twice as much because there are pretty much the double amount of endings, but also there's slight changes to the original endings as well.
There is double the amount of endings. It's just where you've just got to consider whether the bucket endings are a lot of the bucket endings are completely different, I guess, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, some are ridiculously different.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, I say
yeah.
So I completely forgot about the bucket endings. So maybe yes, definitely because it's twice the content.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Twice.
And for someone who's not bought the game, you would recommend buying this version over the original version,
Yeah.
even it being a
Yeah.
significant price cut. Okay.
Without a doubt. So when you start the game, it asks you whether you played the Stanley Parable before. If you have not played the game, then definitely click no because it takes away that new content door away from you, so you can just get a few endings under your belt first. But like I recommended to Alex before he started, if you've played everything without going through the new content door, and you think you run out of endings, look up a guide. With this game, there's absolutely no issues with looking up a guide. It'll just tell you how many endings there are, and how to get them before going to the new content, kind of thing. It doesn't spoil what they are or anything like that. This isn't a game with any kind of challenge. It's not it's not Dark Souls or anything. It's not going to give you a leg up. It'll just tell you which direction to go in, kind of thing.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, definitely worth it. So let's talk about favorite endings and then we'll get on to new content. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure thing,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, my favorite ending was the indie game ending, not necessarily because of what it was, but more so how you got to it, which I think is good in itself. The interesting thing about the indie game ending is that they completely changed the indie games. I don't. Was there 2 in the first?
Yeah,
version?
so in the original, so if you go down a certain path, the narrator starts talking and starts putting you in different worlds, like different games, essentially. In the first game, it was Minecraft and it was Portal.
Portal, that was the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised you forgot that now.
Yes, just the Minecraft one sticks in my head because it was just so
Yeah,
out of nowhere.
Yeah, so you should watch that on YouTube at some point, Alex. Like, so you see in
I've
Minecraft.
seen it.
Oh, you've seen it?
I've
Yeah,
seen
so,
it.
like build a
Yeah,
house.
you told me to watch it.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and I was just honestly offended by having to look at Firewatch again after how bad of a game it was.
It wasn't bad, but that's fine.
It was pretty bad.
I've not
but then
played it. I had to ask Oliver what it was.
It was great.
Yeah, but it is the Rocket League stuff was cool because there was actual some interactability.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed that.
went rapid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. I was getting worried that I'd have to do something with this ball, and then I realized it upped the walking speed. Could quite actually slow walk into the middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably definitely my favorite ending for me.
But my favorite ending was one of the new content ones. But I'm trying to think of one from like the main game which I really liked. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Is the Stanley is Famous one? Is that new content?
That is new content, yes.
Yes.
Oh, hey, that was another one of my favorite ones.
Wait, what is it? Wait, which
Stanley
Stanley is Famous?
Stanley is Famous is when the narrator gets you to make a speech in front of loads and loads of people. It definitely wasn't
Oh,
in the
no.
original.
No. That wasn't the original. What wasn't in the original was the bucket version where no one showed up.
Wait, what? That was I have that's an ending I haven't got. Then I didn't know there was a bucket version where no one showed up.
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah,
How-
exactly.
Right, so how
Oh,
do,
you didn't do that?
No. So how do you get the ending? Then Stanley's famous ending. Remind me.
You go.
You have to go up and down the
the yeah 3 times.
Right, no,
I think
that
it
isn't
is.
in the original game. That isn't in the original
You
game.
sure?
I'm 100% sure. Well, not 100% sure. I'm
100%.
90% sure because the
Only
guide, the
90?
guide I was looking at listed that under new content.
Maybe it is then. Maybe the
Yeah.
guy doesn't know what we're talking about as
Right.
well. We'll
So
have to see.
I'll have to see. I thought about that when I was doing it before. I said, "Oh no, I need to add that to list," and I didn't. So yes, okay. Stanley's famous ending. Alex,
Yes.
which favorite ending? Come on.
I can't think of one that's not in the new content. Come back to me. You
Come
do.
back.
You say yours, and I'll think of one.
So my favorite ending is from the new content, and it's the
I thought we weren't doing new content.
I'll just,
You said we'll talk about new
No,
content after.
he just said talk about your favorite ending. And
Oh,
then,
yeah. Let's do it that way. Oh god, we're very professional there. So I'll favorite from the original. God, you fuck me now.
No, I know. That's what I mean. You told me when you said it.
There's plenty of good ones.
I like I like the Adventure Line ending personally. I like the Confusion ending. I like that. I like how you when you're wandering around and it's playing the funny music. It's makes me laugh.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've just remembered mine.
Okay.
Where you're on your way to the boss office, but you go down the stairs instead, and you're in that infinite loop, and then you start like floating to the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
And then it ends up like Stanley dead on the floor, and then that woman's with him.
Oh yeah.
Marielle.
The book ending of that is great as well.
Yeah. It's
The
amazing.
bucket ending of that is so funny.
So yeah, we said the word bucket a lot, so we'll get on to why we're saying the word bucket a lot. So getting onto the new content, you go through the new content door, and you basically what I know the first time you go through it is different than all the rest of the times, but I can't remember what happens on the first
I want to know
time.
something about that. So the first time you go through it, it's like completely new. The narrator for some reason doesn't say that he knows what it is, even though if you go there again with the bucket, it's clear that he knows what's happening.
Yeah.
And then he whispers you to go into a vent. Did you all go into the vent?
Yeah.
I ignored him the first time, and then I went back, and he was like, "Oh, you're not a dog."
What happened? Yeah, what happened? What happened the first time? What did you do? Like, where did he go?
I can't remember.
See, I saw another way to go, but I didn't do that.
Well, yeah, because I hope I could come back, but you can't go
Yeah.
back there again ever. So I would want to know what it was.
I'm trying to think because the vent opened, and then there's a door as well, and I was
Yeah,
like, I'm
there's
going to
a door.
ignore him, see what happens. And I started walking, and then he just was like, "Oh, Stanley, you're a dog." And then nothing happens. And then it came to the two doors, so I was like, I suppose I have to go to the vent.
Oh.
It
So
came
then
to
I
the
went
two
back to the
doors?
vent. Yeah. So I went back to the vent,
Wait,
and then I went through the vent.
what did he call you?
He called me a dork.
A dog.
Oh, dog.
Dog.
I thought you were saying dog.
He said-
but,
he
like,
said-
Same.
like,
I
dog.
thought it was a dog. I was like, what the fuck's
Dog.
a dog?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dork.
Dog.
Dog. D-O-R-K.
Dog.
Dog.
From Manchester, my guy. You got to pronounce your O's.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So that's the first time. But what happens after that? Oh, he shows you.
You
You
do
get
it
like
again.
the button that says your name.
Yes. Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. Right.
Harry,
So then,
right? Jim.
yeah. So the
that's it.
narrator decides
Jim.
that he doesn't like the new content because the new content did equate to just a circle that you could jump in.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So he creates the there's the memory place as well. Is that before or after the Stanley Parable 2 stuff?
That's after,
That's
I
after.
think.
All right. So so he says, right, no, we're making a sequel instead. So he starts throwing all these ideas for a sequel at you, including a button that says your own name, but currently it only says Jim. There is a easy trophy that doesn't work at the moment, where you just press a button and you get a trophy or an achievement or whatever. There is the settings world champion door, in which you have to go through every single setting in the menu one by one. It takes ages to open the door, and it does so. You open it and it says well done, but you do get a trophy for it. What else was there? Before we get to the bucket,
The
Infinite
bottomless
Hole.
pit. Yeah.
Oh
the
yeah,
infinite hole.
the infinite hole that wasn't infinite. That stopped and started became like progressively getting less and less infinite as the more you jumped into it.
And was incredibly weird because you could change the music and perspective.
Oh yeah, you changed the music and the perspective and the
model.
model and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah.
No, that was great. That
So
was
weird.
great.
There was an epilogue though, where all it did was have the word epilogue in it.
Yes, no, that's true. And also, you could decide what balloons would appear in the next game.
Oh, what
Yes.
balloons did you have?
I chose the one that didn't say get well eventually.
Yeah,
or
I did the
something.
same. Happy 12th birthday.
Yeah,
but then
I
gave
chose-
me the get well soon ones, and I was
Yeah.
like, you bastard.
Yeah,
I
so-
chose the other one, and I got the blue ones.
You got the blue
Check
ones.
that.
Ah, that's
I got the
interesting.
I had the
blue
white
ones.
ones.
Yeah, we got the white
So
ones.
annoying.
But also is the is I can't remember what he called it in the first instance. I think it's like the bucket of.
It's just a beautiful bucket.
No, it's
Bucket
it's
of magnificence or something.
it's a bucket of. I think it's a bucket of. I can't remember the word is escaping me. Where it makes you feel safe or makes you feel content.
Not reassurance.
You know, it's
something
reassurance. That's what it's bucket of reassurance. It's something.
Ah, there we are.
It might not be that, but as far as I know, it is. And you get the bucket of reassurance, and the bucket is in the game from that point onwards. Once you've looked at everything in that big hall. Oh, also there's collectibles now. There's 6 Stanley figurines, which you can collect. And then from that point onwards, once you leave that hall, the game changes. The title screen changes to the Stanley Parable 2, and all these things are in the game. You got the collectibles, you got the bucket, you've got the balloons are there, all that kind of stuff. You get a few extra endings as well, like from just on the main path, like the Stanley's famous ending and the pit ending where you fall down into the mind control room. But you also get a massive collection of new, changed endings. So all the vast majority of the original endings are changed by holding the bucket, which you can pick up on your way through the first couple of rooms. And all the new bucket endings are hilarious. They're great because the bucket is it's essentially the new companion cube.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we get on to favorite endings, Lewis, do you have any more burning questions? Because you are very quiet, obviously, because you haven't played it.
Not really. You've not really said anything that's incited any questions from me. Honestly, you've just been talking about buckets. So.
Good bucket, to be
The
fair.
bucket is great.
I mean, I can ask what a bucket is, but I imagine anyone watching this review knows what the bucket is. So
The bucket is a
really-
bucket.
It's literally just a bucket.
It's a bucket. Well, it's not
Right.
just a
Why-
bucket, Alex. Let's
Oh,
not
why is-
let's not say silly
I was
things like
gonna
that.
say, you can't say it's just a
Right.
bucket and then talk about the bucket like it's such. Is it
It's-
funny because it's a bucket, or does it have more to it than that?
It's a bucket.
It's just a bucket.
It's a
Yeah.
bucket. So you do get a couple of stickers on it, confirming number one,
Whoa.
confirming that it is a bucket, and number two, confirming that it is Stanley's bucket.
Yes. Also, Alex, did you get all the
Yeah.
stickers?
I got
Then-
2.
2. Okay, so we all got 2 then, because that seemed like a thing that people might not get because they might forget the broom closet exists.
Yeah.
But that was very good.
Yeah, it was a
what-
picture of a bucket and then property is Stanley.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
They did that because you walk into a broom closet and the broom closet wants the bucket.
Yeah.
Because it's a supply closet and it wants that bucket. And so you put the stickers on it so the broom closet is aware that it is in fact Stanley's bucket.
Yeah. But yeah, what I was gonna say is I think in between the going back to the main office and seeing the new content, do you go to the memory area, or is that
I can't remember where exactly it is because you
Yeah.
definitely
Is
go
it
in.
the second time you go through? Because you have to go through new content twice.
it might
I
be?
can't remember.
Mm,
Because that's
I
where you
can't-
get the first figurine, isn't it? Because you go down them stairs and then it's like glowing in the distance.
Hmm.
Oh God, it's so funny. Do you want to talk about the memory bit now? Because I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, so basically, it starts off with none of us can remember how you get there. From just basically going into this sort of area, and it's almost like a shrine to the success of the original game.
Yeah.
Like showing all its awards and stuff like that. But if I remember rightly, it starts going on about talking about the Stanley Parable 2. It must be between showing the new museum, I think.
Yeah,
Because
it's a skip
talk
button
about-
ending. It's a skip button ending. That's what that's the first time you go through the memory place.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't
Yeah.
it?
But again,
Yes,
I can't
yeah,
figure out
true.
when that is.
Yeah, it must be in between this and the new museum because
Yeah.
it starts turning into all the negative reviews for the Stanley Parable 2 sequel, the Stanley Parable sequel, Stanley Parable 2, which hadn't come out. So there's a bunch of like Steam reviews talking about. Now, this is the funny thing. The more I read the negative Steam reviews, I started like agreeing with a lot of it,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting, which kind of isn't the point, such as like him.
It's not steam, it's pressurized gas.
Sorry,
Pressurized
pressurized gas.
Pressurized gas.
Can't say Steam. But yeah, like just talking about especially like the narrator going on too long and stuff like that, and it might be just because it's not my first time playing it, but it did feel like I've had enough now. I could do with doing something else, but I guess that was kind of the point, and that's what led to the skip ending. How long did it take for you to choose to skip him the first time?
So I'll just spoil for now that this is my favorite ending. The skip ending is my favorite ending by far. It took me 30 seconds. Once I was in the front of the button, it took me 30 seconds to press that skip button for the first time. But every subsequent time, I didn't let him start speak. I didn't let him speak for more than 5 seconds.
Yeah,
I was pressing it over and over and over again. So what happens in this ending is essentially you just every time that you press that button, it goes black. And then like it comes back up and the room's changed a little bit because time has passed. But the narrator tells you you've just been stood there that entire time. Like he's been talking on his own, and you've been stood there waiting for him to stop. And he gets this time between presses gets longer and longer and longer, and it becomes weeks, years, centuries, and eventually you walk out of that room and the earth is dead. Like it's completely dead. It's just a desert, nothing else. It's just it's a great ending. I love it.
Yeah,
It's a great ending.
Yeah. I think it was for me. It was like literally the first after I realized that it was looping. Then that's when I skipped everything.
Yeah, that's what I did as well.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the memory place. The memory place gets used a couple of more times, I think, at least two times.
It's after the collectibles.
Yeah, and then I think to unlock the epilogue, you go through the outside area again, don't you? Something like that.
So to unlock the epilogue, you need to get all the collectibles, and you need to. So when you boot up the game, it asks you to put in a time. What time it is currently, and so every time it gets slightly different. Like you put in the time the second time, then there's a voice, like there's a text on the screen that says this doesn't actually mean anything, and they start telling you and getting different, collecting data from you, which again doesn't mean anything, and eventually that leads to you getting the epilogue, and in which case you do go for the memory place again. Yes.
Yeah.
That did make me laugh, where it was like, "Oh, next time boot up, put in your favorite time instead."
Yeah.
And then on the next one, it was like, "We don't even know if this is the real time." And then it's like, then it was like a slider of like, choose your favorite non-existing word, and then it was like pick when it isn't a dog or something. It was just really stupid, but it was just fun.
The interesting part is if you leave it at 12 a.m. and just press A, like from the first go, where you keep doing that, then you won't get that. It's only when you start changing the time, because
what if it is 12 a.m.?
Well, if it is 12, well, I guess it can't be 12 a.m. every time you start the game, I guess.
That is true.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny that I for some reason I just did what it told me as well. Like I looked at my clock and set the time. Like,
that's what I did as well.
I even waited for the second to like be at like 59, so I got like the most accurate time. And then I did actually pick my favorite time as well.
What is your favorite time? I was about to ask that.
Oh, it was 4:20.
Blaze it. That's good.
Yeah.
I think I put 7:17. I don't know why.
I think I just put 5 o'clock, and I can't remember why. I think my takeaway was you at 5 o'clock. I think.
I was gonna say subconsciously that sounds like 5 o'clock is your favorite time for some reason. I've got a game that we should play because I'm here and I want to know. Right. So you all gave it a 9 out of 10, which means you all like the game a lot, and you'd vouch for the game in many different ways. So me, right now, set this scenario up in your head. I'm a small 13-year-old boy. I have but £15 to spend. Let's say the game's £15, okay? I have £15
I was just gonna say it wouldn't afford you Stanley Parable.
I have £15 to spend on Steam, and Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe is on sale, Steam sale, £15, okay? I've got chocolate and Red Bull in both hands at once, and I'm very excited to buy a game. But the thing is, it's either I buy Stanley Parable the Ultra Deluxe, or I spend it on £15 worth of V-Bucks for Ariana Grande on Fortnite. How do you sell the game to me and make me want to buy it?
Right.
There's less Ariana Grande in Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
I'd say that's
I
probably
like
the
I
number
like
one
Ariana
thing.
Grande.
Am I okay? Am I okay to start here? Because I'm actually going to be serious with this question.
Yeah,
No,
go
I
for
want
it.
to be serious.
Yeah.
I want serious answers.
Yeah. So there are a few games in my life that I've played that I've stuck with me. You know what I mean? I've played a lot of games, and there's not ones that I think about quite often. Like think, oh, that was a really impactful game.
Yeah.
Like so it's like so for example, the original Portal, how it just fucking took everyone's took everyone's heart. It was absolutely fantastic. And it stuck with you because it was different. It challenged your perception of what a game what a game is and what like free
Yeah.
will is. Like similar to the first BioShock. Thinking like it's the first time I played Gone Home like that. Like again, it changed what I think a game like what a game is. It's all about like Gone Home, especially it's about story. It's not necessarily it's more of a walking simulator, but it doesn't matter
Yeah.
at all because it changes everything. And the Stanley Parable, in the way that it like from the start to the finish of the game takes about 5 minutes, but there's so many branching paths, and there's so like every single one is so memorable. I know
Yeah.
we're forgetting a lot here, but we're on the spot. But that's every single one is so memorable. Yes, I would definitely tell that 13-year-old to not waste his money on V-Bucks and buy the Stanley Parable. Whether they'd appreciate it as much as I do, that's a different matter. But I would definitely recommend it.
Honestly, great answer. 13-year-old me would have shed a tear. Niall, can you sell it to me any more than Oliver can?
Right. So listen here, you with your V-Bucks.
I feel threatened.
What I'll say is that your first time playing through the Stanley Parable is not going to be. It's going to be more special than your first time playing any other game. It's just it's that moment. It's definitely one of those experiences where you wish you could play it for the first time again.
Yeah, it's that moment when you hit those two doors and you realize, oh shit, I've got a choice here. It's crazy.
Honestly, short and sweet. Again, I feel inspired. Alex, can you also make me want to buy the game?
I can try. Some of the endings in this game have made me proper belly laugh more than any other game ever has.
I like laughing at YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's short and sweet. There you go.
Interesting. Honestly, my favorite answer there was Oliver's. Oliver's honestly made me want to buy. Ignore them, a 13-year-old. It made me want to buy the game as a 23-year-old. But yeah, sounds good. I just wanted to know because you all gave it a 9 out of 10, so that must mean you have reasons for wanting people to play it. So I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Honestly,
Yeah, your first experience with the game is just amazing. Like with me playing it for the first time, it was just an experience. Like
Yeah.
you need to experience it, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to understand because a lot of people say the game is good, but a lot of people are also scared to say anything really because they don't want to spoil that experience. I feel like it's very difficult, especially even in reviews, to get across what the game's about without flat out just telling me what it is.
Yeah, and you've heard a lot here, Lewis, but I'd still recommend you play it because like we've said, oh, the bucket and all that stuff. So when you see the bucket, you'll think, oh, that's the bucket, or the adventure line. You'll recognize from what we're saying. But there's so much in these endings that aren't like
honestly,
everything's gonna be new to you.
From listening, even though you've said a lot of stuff, I still feel like I could take a lot in from playing it myself. I don't think it's been spoiled for me necessarily. So yeah, honestly, I'll consider it.
Speaking of the bucket, did you ever tempt fate and bring two buckets together at one point?
I did.
Yes.
I'm fucking sorry.
Yes.
Is this in? Oh, I never went to the museum with the bucket.
You should have. Yeah. There's quite a few differences when you use the bucket in there.
Damn.
It's crazy.
Basically something happens. I'll tell you that, so you can go and see what happens.
You can experience that all the way. Yeah. Speaking of buckets,
go on.
What's everyone's favorite bucket ending?
I like it. You know what? The most simple one, and it was the very, very, very first one I tried, was just killing myself. On the right, when you can like not go on the left and you can just fall down and die.
Yeah.
Because that was just very funny. I just wanted to see what the most basic thing would happen, and it was. I think it was something like that Stanley couldn't live without the bucket or something like that.
Yes. So mine was so I think I know what yours is, Alex, and mine is. I think mine's also that, so I'm gonna change it. So mine is where you go on the lift and you jump off onto the walkway and you go down and there's a door that says no buckets may cross.
That was a good ending.
Yeah, and then the narrator starts to question you, like, do you not know what a bucket is? So he takes you into a game show, says, is that a bucket? And then you got a question. So I was purposely picking wrong answers, but it turns out that,
yes for everything.
so like, the majority of things, like, I actually got right, because there's like a bucket will come across, and then you'd pay, you say, oh, that's a bucket. And it's like, no, it's not. It's a 3D model of a bucket, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when the pickle truck came along, I was like, yeah, that's a bucket. You know what I mean?
And he was like, "Yep,
Yep, that's a bucket.
that's a bucket."
Yeah, the first time I played it, I got every single answer wrong, and then I was convinced that if I played it again and got every answer right, then it would be different. But it wasn't. It was the exact same.
Yeah, no, the only ending like that is the void ending, where you go through the window. That is actually different whether you choose yes or no when he asks you the question. That's that's the only.
That's a good bucket ending.
That is that. See that that was one I've just played, because I've just finished off the endings, and I thought I did, and that was just nonsensical to me. It was
brilliant.
it was just screaming. It was just absolutely just nonsense being spouted. That was a good ending. Alex, what's your favorite book ending?
So you know where you're in the mind control facility and you can jump off into the void.
Yeah.
And then if you have the bucket with you, then you just living down there with the bucket. And the bucket's like,
yeah.
That one was my favorite, where there was like first a couch appears, and then a TV appears, and then like a couple lamps appear,
and then they start having marital problems.
Yep, they start having.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
It was just so fun.
I thought you was gonna pick the one with the silly birds. That's what I thought you was gonna pick.
That is a good ending.
Silly birds. It was great.
I'd say the ending that made me laugh the most, it was probably the figurine ending, where you get to like a certain point and then he does a slideshow. Like, no, it's like a montage, like a COD montage.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
He's like, "This is how you got the 5th collectible." I never laughed that hard at a game ever.
This might be an ending which one or both of you might not have, but have you played Stanley Parable 8?
No, I want to 4.
I've seen in that like a demo thing. I remember it, where it's like 8.
Basically, when you play Stanley Parable 8, it boots up into a different room,
Right.
and it's just a button which says 8, and you can try and restart the game, not like completely kill it and reboot it, but when you restart it, restarts in Stanley Parable 8. You actually have to kill the game and reboot it to get to Stanley Parable 9. Otherwise, it's just Stanley Parable 8.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. Oh, I have a question. Did you notice sometimes when you was it the left? I can't remember which door it was. I think it might be the left door. But you walk through it and the corridors are slightly different.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you walk through a blue corridor at some point, and I don't know what the fuck that was about, and it's never explained.
No,
I tried getting the speedrun trophy, and then
that one fucked you up.
There would be because it would be like, right, I know the 2 doors are coming up, but then there'll be like 3 more corridors before. I was like, well, this fucked up my speedrun, so I have to reset.
Yeah, there's also at one point like paper everywhere as well. That's like one thing which happens every now and again. Just the office.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Did you get like I think it was like 1,000 boxes in the office at one point?
Boxes?
I think so.
Yes,
like boxes were just everywhere.
Well, yeah, basically, if you answer the answering machine on the desk, the different different calls come up, and like one of them was just to get confirmation of whether you've ordered 1,000 boxes to the office, and on your next run, the entire office is just filled with boxes, which is crazy.
So even now, like, I've played it a lot. Now I played it like the entirety of what day was it? Like Saturday or something like that.
Yeah,
Sunday,
Saturday, Sunday,
Monday. It was Bank Holiday Monday. That's when it was. I played it even now. I've been like getting new endings now. There's still things that I've never seen. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you do the escape pod with the bucket?
I didn't know that you. Oh, of course you can. Yeah, no, I didn't do that either. No, is any different?
Yeah.
Because on your next run, there isn't a bucket there. And I thought I lost the bucket forever, and I was really sad.
And on the run after that, the bucket's back with a sign saying, "Please don't lose your bucket" or something like that.
So is the ending itself different?
You
Yeah.
put the bucket in the escape pod, and then it flies away.
It's just really funny because
Yeah.
Stanley just goes.
Yeah, like strokes it.
Yeah, I got to see that one. I need to make a list of all these things I need to still need to do in it. So
That's the thing. You think you finished it, but there's still so many endings
Yeah.
that you haven't found yet,
It's crazy,
which is amazing.
So I've got a couple more things I want to talk about. I don't want to make this too long. But so first of all, I want to talk about the trophies / achievements / Steam achievements, all that kind of stuff. So there's only 12, and a lot of them are easy. Like they're not very self-explanatory in what you need to do. Like the 888 one, that's not very self-explanatory or anything like that. But I want to talk like so. There's one where there's super go outside, which you need to not play the game for 10 years, which is easily exploitable. Fair enough. But there's the one where you have to play it for the entirety of a Tuesday, and it is funny. It is funny, I'll give you that, and it is unique. But do they know the price of electricity at the moment? Because fuck me, you have to keep your PlayStation on all day from midnight to midnight to get that trophy. There's no way to exploit it that people have found, and it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's not on. It's not.
It is.
I've got half of mine to send crows. My electricity bill.
Yeah, it is. It is the first game I've ever platinumed. It's the first game I've ever completed in any way when it comes to trophies, achievements, Steam achievements, or whatever. I think it's a game that promotes this like sort of exploration and this like achievement for exploring, and then like, yeah, they are silly, but it's just, the trophies are like I don't know, just like sort of challenges. Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're all funny as well to do. Apart from like the main one where I finished the game, and I think you get a trophy for getting your first trophy.
Yeah.
Well. They're all like funny. They are all funny. So that one I did have a problem with because it's ridiculous. I couldn't play anything on my PlayStation all day.
Yeah, but imagine if you bought that on Steam, you'd have to just leave your computer on with that game running.
I mean, to be fair, my computer's on all the time. At least I'll be able to do other things on my computer with that game running on a monitor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't chuffed. So Niall in particular, you talked about issues with the game. Can we talk about that because we have been very positive.
Well, basically, what would I have liked more of from Ultra Deluxe is just more iterations on the original's concept of those choices and that sort of agency, which I thought was the best part of the game. But I feel like what the content celebrates more is the writing and the narration.
Yes.
Because there is a lot of scenarios and sequences where there are no choices. And some scenarios where the only thing to get anything out of it is to do the one of the two choices, such as the infinite hole. The other option is to not interact with it at all.
Yes.
Whilst with the Stanley Parable, you could always, like the original levels, you could always interact in like unique ways. Now, the part that does celebrate that from Ultra Deluxe is the bucket endings because it's that extra choice. But even then, and I think it will be too much content it should definitely be a sequel if they did this, but I think it should be a sequel anyway, is if they offered like those choices as a part of the bucket ending, like the branches sort of like grew in like a double again, but that wouldn't just double the amount of work, that could quadruple it. So that's it pretty much. It's just that it was mainly adding more like narration and story when I don't think that's what's special about the game.
Yeah. From my point of view, I would probably be more happy if this never got a sequel, ever. Because I don't
It's
think
a one and done.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way of doing it without diluting what is, without watering down what makes the Stanley Parable the Stanley Parable.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Well, I was about to say about a whole sequel thing. I was like, do you want more Stanley Parable, or do you think it's done now and anything else would just not be interesting? Because obviously they can't really change up the way the gameplay works. I mean, I suppose they could, but I mean, it won't be Stanley Parable anymore then.
No,
so
they wouldn't.
Well, yeah, that's the joke that they do, Lewis. Because like when you first go into the new content, they're like, we added a jump button, so there's just a circle where you can just jump in it, and then it goes, oh, that's it.
That's it now. You can't.
They
You
don't
get
want
so many
to.
jumps.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on now.
I think like what I was mentioning is sort of a glimpse of what could happen with a sequel. because Davey Reedon, he made the Stanley Parable, but he's also made a game called The Beginner's Guide, and a lot of the new content outside of the bucket ending felt very The Beginner's Guide, where it's not really the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just like a regular walking simulator, which is what that game was. It was just a medium to tell a story.
Yeah.
Which isn't what's special about it.
No.
Yeah.
So
It felt very much like it's like fan service essentially. It's just it's like you say, it's celebrating the writing. It's just building up on that kind of thing. So before we finish, just one final question. Let's make it nice and quick. 'Cause we are running quite over. Did anyone have an ending that they didn't particularly like? I'll go first on this because it is fresh in my mind. So if you take the bucket and do the unplugged ending, did you all do that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't remember what it is.
So essentially, it's the narrator thinks that he's not funny enough, or he's got his comedic timing wrong, and he showed you the worst video ever on comedic timing. And to me, it wasn't very funny. It went on too long, and it essentially ends in the same way, where you're just on top of the ceiling, looking down at Stanley, kind of thing. I wasn't a fan of it.
The one where you answer the phone though with the bucket is really funny.
You know, that was great. That was brilliant.
Sexy bucket.
Sexy bucket. Yeah. No, when he went into the bedroom, I was like, "Where's this going?" Grim.
That was brilliant.
Alex, would you have a worse ending?
Probably the one that wasn't like that good is probably just the one where you just stay in the room, or the heaven where you're just pressing buttons. They didn't go anywhere, and I was just stuck. Like, I would have loved to have seen like, oh, if you press all the buttons, something happens, but you can't press all the buttons.
No, I tried to do that, and the buttons come back up again.
I tried to do it. Yeah. It's just a tease.
Yeah, Heaven's probably my least favorite, and it is probably just because it is. I think, bar the silly ones, like the clicker one, it is the highest effort ending to get, and it seems like it's like the least payoff.
Yeah,
because you have to do it over the course of 5 runs.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get the bucket ending with that, because you have to pick up the bucket.
You have to leave the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's no way to I think even if you do the escape pod ending, and go back, even Stanley's office is still closed, even though all the rest.
Stanley's because the other door's covering it.
Yes,
because it's the door to the right.
So, Lewis, do you have any more questions or anything like that?
No, I sort of asked everything that I wanted to ask.
Okay, brilliant. So that's been our review of the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. So we'll put this up in the next couple of days. So after that, we'll have our tier list for this month, which are video game controllers and fast food restaurants in the UK. Other than that, on the last day of the month, we'll have our review of Brutal Legend. That's our video game book club of the month. But other than that, that's pretty much it, and we shall see you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.